Hello everyone, it's Benny, and welcome back to the 2D RPG tutorial. In this video, we're at a bit of a turning point in our development. Up to this point, we've been pretty much developing an RPG engine more than an RPG game. I mean, yeah, we have players, and we have our own awesome sword of debugging, which I'm going to bring up because I love it. It's amazing. It's the legendary sword of debugging. And, yeah, but the thing is, we haven't really made much of a game yet. We've just got mechanics. We have equipment, we have inventory, we have items, like I said, we have time. I mean, what are all these things? They're game mechanics. They're not actually a game. So, in this video, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. It's at this point that we really started to get down and specify game mechanics. And ideally, you would have done this before you even started coding. I didn't, for reasons I'm pretty sure I explained in an earlier video, but yeah. So, but at this point you really need to have your game mechanics laid out, because it's really what's going to determine what the rest of your game's going to be like. You have to make decisions like, what exactly am I going to be able to do in my RPG? Am I going to have this big, fancy, sprawling world of vast mountains and tundras and whatever? I'm just going to explore the world? Or is it going to be more like a dungeon crawler? Am I going to be able to run around and have like puzzle solving, or is it just going to be mainly combat focused? Or is there going to be things that can do other than just combat and quests? Is there going to be after game? How's magic going to work? Is there going to be magic? You get the idea. So that's what we're going to go over in this video. Right here, right now. I've already laid out a bit of a general idea of what I want for my game mechanics in the RPG I'm going to be developing. And yours may be different, they don't have to be exactly the same, but they'll give sort of a direction that I can take this series and show you different things. So I have it in this amazing Notepad++ document, so let's just go through it. First decision I made. I'm going to have two different game types in the world. There's going to be the exploration mode, where you can sort of run around, you can explore the world, you can explore the dungeons, you can do whatever. In this world, you can move around, of course, explore the world, you can run into things, you can use, so you can interact with things, you can maybe activate switches, talk to people, etc., etc. And you also have tools, so that, for example, and I call them tools, but really they can just be items that you use in the field, I guess. So if I want to have this tree and you can burn it down by using a lighter, the lighter would be the tool, and things like that. You get the idea. I think that would be an interesting mechanic to implement, so yeah. And yeah, that's my first game mode. Second thing is combat. I'm having combat as an entirely separate game mode. And I'll sort of get into that in a little bit, well, about 30 seconds, but still. When you're in combat, you're going to be able to do a few things. You're going to be able to attack, of course, just do a basic hit him, just punch him, do whatever, swing your sword, basic attack. Defend, so maybe you're just blocking some attack, you're about to use a super awesome move and you don't want to get hit by it, I don't know. And maybe that comes with a special effect. You have some special ability, like maybe I want to cast a magic spell, maybe I have a special attack that I can use now for some reason, I don't know. There's abilities, and also items, so you can use the combat items. Those are different things you'll be able to do while you're in combat. And here's the thing. At some point, I'm going to turn my combat system from the sort of real-time combat system I have now into a turn-based system. Why? Really, it's not much of a reason in design sense. It's mostly because I'm doing a tutorial, and the two probably most prominent combat systems in RPGs are A, real-time combat systems like this one, the one I have right now, and more turn-based systems where you're like taking off to this other screen, the monsters appear, you select the move, and your character does them. Those sort of systems. It's more like the other type of system. So, yeah, you get the idea. And I'm going to just be switching over at some point because, first off, all of the action-based combat systems pretty much need to be there for various mechanics anyway, so, I mean, why not use that just to show it? And then when I'm done with that, I can switch over to a turn-based system so I can show you both of the two really big sort of combat systems. And when I do switch over to a turn-based system, I have some notes about the speed stat, but I'll just get over that when I go to stats, because that's the next thing up. I've decided the different types of stats I'm going to have. I haven't named them all, but I know pretty much what they're all going to do. First off, I have Vitality. That's going to be the stat that controls how much HP I have. Pretty simple. It's going to be Speed. That determines turn order in my turn-based combat system. So when I switch over to the turn-based combat system, speed's going to determine essentially how many turns you get. So if I have a speed of 500, my enemy only has a speed of 250, then I get 2 moves for every move he gets. You know, so like I said here, they're directly proportional. And yeah, not sure why I put it up there, but hey, why not? Now, I have 2 blank slots. I haven't decided what I'm going to do there yet, but I'm leaving some slots open because you never know what I might want to do later on in the RPG. So I haven't filled up every slot yet. I'm leaving room for 8 stats, and that way later on I can go in and I can add more stats if I want. So yeah. Now next up I have strength, of course, physical damage stat. I have a physical defense stat, a magical damage stat, and a magical defense stat. Pretty self-explanatory. And now here's really the more interesting part of it. This is where I've sort of decided how this whole stat system is, the mechanics of it. I have the mechanics really laid out at this point. First off, level cap. I'm capping levels at 99. You cannot go over level 99 in the RPG I'm going to be making. If you want to make an RPG where you go to level 12,000, good for you. I'm not going to be grinding all the way up there, but hey, you can do it. I was going to cap stats at 999, so you can't have a stat that's at like 100 million and just destroy everything with it. No, there's a stat cap. XP cap, so there's a maximum amount of XP you get. There's 999,999, and guess what level you're going to be when you're at XP cap? That's right, level 99. So yeah, I'm going to be capping off at 1,000,000 XP, because that just sort of gives me a nice, I don't know, range to work with if you want to put it that way. And one thing I really want to emphasize here, being max level does not mean that all stats will be max. I really want character design, if that makes any sense, to matter. So if you design your character to be this really powerful physical fighter, I don't want it to be like, oh hey, you reached level 99, you're now suddenly this super awesome magician. I want you to still stay a physical fighter. I don't think characters should intermingle like that, if that makes any sense. So being max level will not mean all your stats will be max. And the way I'm doing this is with the things I'm calling a stat scale. And the way these work is pretty simple. For each stat, here's how it's calculated. It'll be level multiplied by the scale of the stat, and it's going to be between 0 and 1, so unless you have your stat scale at 1, you're never going to reach 999 in a stat. It's going to be multiplied that by 10. So if I'm level 50 and I have a stat scale of 0.5, so I'm level 50, be 50 times 0.5, so 25 times 10. So 250. That'd be my stat at level 50 with a stat scale of 0.5. You get the idea. And yeah. So yeah, it's not the most intricate system in the world, but I think it serves the purpose really well for its simplicity. And again, keeping with the motive of if you create a physical fighter, you're a physical fighter. Stat scale does not change after the character is created. I don't want the player to be suddenly, the super awesome mage if they become a physical fighter. That, again, doesn't make sense to me. And I might allow this rule to be bent in some places, like maybe, I don't really liking being a mage, I want to switch over. Maybe I'll make some system for that, but this is going to be the general rule for the time being. And in order to keep all these stat scales balanced, I've created a very simple rule. The sum of all the stat scales squared is 1. So the sum of all these stats squared, no matter what they end up being, it's always going to eventually be 1. So that way I can't have a character who has just maxed out everything. You can't have the super buffed up characters. All characters are going to be roughly balanced in their stats. And I like that idea. They'll be roughly balanced, but in a way that they'll always have that edge, or pretty decent edge in that, in whatever area they're specialized in. So yeah. And of course, just a little note for perspective, this means the average of all the stat scales will be the square root of 1/8, which is approximately 0.353. Just to give you an idea of what the stats are going to eventually end up being like. And also I'm setting a minimum to this, because that way, again, I want to keep things in balance. I don't want someone to say, aha, I have absolute maxed out magic and just be like 1 HP. That at level 99. That's just, yeah, no. There's a minimum for stat scale, so you can't go below 1/8. And here's the interesting thing I've decided. I've decided when I equip boosting items, they're going to boost the stat scale and not the stats directly. So if I equip a super awesome shield, it's going to boost my stat scale. Not my physical defense, not my magic defense, well, not like the physical stat, but it's going to boost the scale of the stat. And that way, items stay roughly in proportion with levels, so that's pretty easy. And also, well, really that's the big reason, things stay roughly in proportion to level. And also, again, to keep this from boosting your stats into infinity, there's a maximum, there's a cap to how much you can boost a stat with an item, and that's square root of 1/16. You cannot boost your stat more than that amount. I believe that's 0.2 something. And if all things considered, that's a pretty significant boost. That's a boost of over 200 at level 99. That's huge. So yeah. And I also had this rule, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to remove it. I think if you have a super high stat and you want to equip this awesome item for it and boost it up, why not? Go ahead and do it. I have enough measure to keep things in balance. I don't think that's going to break anything. HP, most complicated formula I've ever seen. It's vitality times 10. Now, experience in the level formula. I have decided to change the level formula just to sort of keep with this new system I have here. It's laughably simple. AX squared, that's it. Where A is the X XP divided by level squared. So, yeah, this way, when you're level 99, you will have precisely 999,999 experience. I know it's a lot simpler, but I really think this system will serve better than the complicated one I have right now, because it's just better suited to this new system. Again, key reason why you should plan things out before you start them. But hey, I didn't do it that time. I'm not going to go over it again. Abilities, not as important at this point, and you'll see that because I don't really have it filled out. But the way I'm going to have it, I only have magic abilities really planned out at this point. I'm going to have the traditional 4 elements, fire, earth, wind, and water, and you can create a magical spell by sort of combining them. So for example, if I take fire and combine it with fire, I get a fire spell. I don't know, I think it's an interesting system of doing magic, so why not? And you create different spells based on which elements you combine in which orders, and yeah, that's sort of how it's going to work. I have a few specified: fire spell, earth spell, wind spell, water spell, elemental spells, basic stuff. You can buff physical defense, magical defense, and you can also debuff physical defense and magical defense for things. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to have a physical attack buff or magical attack buff, because, well, I'm concerned with all the different boosts I can get right now that may blow things out of proportion, but I'll see what I do. I still have 6 slots left. I also have a heal spell and a revive spell. Actually, I probably am going to do that. I'm probably going to put them right there. But again, abilities, not my priority right now. But I'm just showing it because why not? Items, again, not a priority, but I have a few things listed out. In healing items, I have multiple tiers of items, so that maybe you have this basic healing potion, which heals 100 HP. Then you have the super healing potion, which heals 500 HP, and maybe you have the Omega healing potion, which heals 10 million HP. I don't know. Basically, the idea is that items, I put this for healing items, but really this applies for everything. Everything will sort of come in tiers, so that there's, if you have an item which maybe automatically casts a spell regardless of any conditions for that spell, I don't know, just making it up. There's different levels to that. Maybe there's one that casts the spell really weakly, one that casts a little bit stronger, one that casts it really strong. You know, you get the idea. Actually, I have that listed off here. I didn't even read that, but yeah. Now, equipment. I really don't have that much laid out here. Just, yeah. Body, obviously, going to be the equipment piece that boosts physical defense. Weapon, going to boost attack damage. And a special slot, which has like a special gear boosting item. Like maybe you have a necklace which increases your max HP, or maybe you have a, I don't know, some pendant. That's basically the same thing. I'm thinking something different. A bracelet, I don't know. I'm thinking of jewelry for some reason. But yeah, you have some item which increases, maybe it makes you do double damage, 10% chance. I don't know. Just special effects and stuff. Just cool little bonuses. You know, you get the idea. I've said that way too many times. But you do get the idea. And again, I have 1 slot left open in case I want to add something. I didn't want an intricate equipment system, so I'm just having these relatively few equipment slots, but yeah. Here you go. And that's pretty much all the game mechanics I have laid out at the moment. You can go deeper into this, you can expand on this all you want, but I think this is enough to go ahead and get started. And at this point, really, my big priority is just get this new stats system implemented. So, because again, this sort of stats stuff is really central to an RPG, so might as well get that implemented. And that's going to be what I'm going to do in the next video. I'm not going to cliffhang you like that, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and minimize this, and we're going to go ahead and implement our new fancy stat system. Actually, before I move on, there is one thing someone brought up in the comments, and that's, for some reason, I was a nincompoop, and I forgot to remove an item from the inventory when it's equipped. Not sure why, since I do add it back right here, but hey, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking, but thank you very much to, I'm sorry, I do not remember your name off the top of my head, but yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate when people like you come in and help me with these bugs, because, or really just anything, I think it makes the project better as a whole, and therefore everyone's learning a bit more. So thank you very much. Anyways, to get it back, inventory dot remove, not add, that would be even worse. I'd like to remove, yeah, the item. There you go. So that fixes that bug. You can no longer create infinite swords of debugging, as one commenter noted. Oh well. Anyways, back to the stats, which for some reason I closed out of. Alright, so first thing is first. I'm going to change the level formula, because that's sort of where I get the level cap from. I get the level cap by default from this, essentially. Well, not by default, but with very minimum effort from this, so why not? Good place to start, so I'm going to go ahead and go to stats. And get level. I'm going to comment... you know what, I can keep it, why not? So I'm going to just comment all this out. And put the message, old leveling formula. That way if I ever want to go back, hey, there you go. But, yeah. Actually, even better, first off I should calculate A, because it's 999,000... Yeah, I'm not going to say it, you get the idea, and I'm going to bring Windows Calculator, which is a surprisingly good calculator, and square it out, and there you go. So this is the constant value of A. I could have just done this in constant, couldn't I? Yeah, I don't need to bring up Windows Calculator, I can just put this in a constant. Actually, that's even better, so I'm going to do that. Hang on. So first off, comment you out. Old level constant. That way I even have to delete this comment right here if I ever want to go back to it. Public static final double level constant. It's going to equal max XP over max level times max level. And of course these are all going to be cast to double before I do this. And I know these things don't exist yet, but this way I can really easily sculpt the level formula if I ever want to change a max XP or max level. It's literally automatically generating a pretty good leveling equation just based on what I want max XP to be and what I want the max level to be. And I absolutely love it. Yeah. So anyways. I should move this down, shouldn't I? Yes. That way it's not in the way. So of course those don't exist yet, so it's getting me error, that's fine. Public static, final. Yeah, it should be an end. It makes more sense that way. Max XP equals 999,000. Well, not with commas. Public static, final. Int max level equals 99. And if I did this formula correctly, just making sure, then yes. This should pretty much generate a decent leveling equation based on these factors. And I love it. So there you go. So now get level. And this is calculating level, right? XP for level formula. Now experience 4 level, so I actually have to rearrange this equation, don't I? Because that's calculating the amount of experience required for level. Yeah, because if I want to be level, say, 25 squared, have to multiply that times 103 approximately. That'd be experience per level. So I do have to rearrange this, but that's okay. That's pretty easy. So, hang on. Yeah, I'll put it below. So calculate level. XP from level. That's AX squared. But I need level from XP, so I just need to rearrange it. Calculate level from XP. Let's see if I can do live algebra. This is going to be pretty intense. So, it's going to be... well, okay, so XP, so this is going to be level divided by A and square root of this, right? I just completely balled this stuff, didn't I? Yeah, this should be XP. So close. So close. And I'm going to double check because... yeah, okay. Okay. There we go. That's much better. Yeah, so there you go. Just going to return square root of XP divided by level constant. I'm mixing floats and doubles here, aren't I? Yeah, but that's okay. I can just cast XP to a float. Or a double. It already is a float. That would be kind of useless. So yeah, there we go. Still math.square root. I'm thinking of C++. But that's alright. That's still not alright. Possible cast to an integer. There we go. Okay, so now we have a working GetLevel formula based on the equation specified here. And yeah, so now what should I implement next? Got level, got XP max from this. I should probably actually just go ahead and cap it. Because there's a way to add XP, right? Right. And if XP is greater than max XP, then XP equals max XP. And that should cap the XP. And also effectively cap the level. And actually, there's one more thing I want to make sure of. So, if I do... what's the equation again? I just completely forgot it. That's alright. So I'll just do all the constant stuff by hand. So it's 999 over 99 squared. There we go. That's the constant. Times 99. So, okay. that was pointless. I thought I noticed something I didn't. Sorry. Anyway, so that caps XP. We got all that done. And yeah, now the other really big thing to implement is stat scales. So I think that merits its own class. Maybe I'm crazy, but I think it does. So I'm going to create a new Java class. It's going to be called StatScale. I have so many classes for stats. I might even need a whole stats package at some point. But yeah. Anyways, so here's how StatScale is going to work. There's going to be... well, actually, first off, this thing needs one, so... private StatScale, scale. And... I'll go ahead and implement it in a class, and then I'll decide if I really need it in a class afterwards. So to implement stat scales, first off, everything's going to be a double, so... double... like, why not do an array? Double array, values... should probably go ahead and make this private, not just add no scope to the variable. That'd be kind of bad. Probably should make a constructor, so public stat scale. And then here I should probably initialize this, so values equals new double array. So, you've right, gotta specify size. I'm gonna have 8 stats no matter what. Okay. So, now that I have all of this, I need some way of... well, I'll just start with storing it. That's a good place to start. So, public void set stat scale. Gonna be double val. And... wait. Int stat double val. I'm going to be using a constant for this later. So values substat equals value. There you go. Wait. Yeah, I can keep that name. Public void get stat scale int stat, and don't need double value. That's what I'm returning, and that should be int, not double. Return values substat. And there we go. So there's most of the code in place. Now I just need some way of making sure all stats end up effectively at... Actually, before I do that, I need some way of naming the stats so that I don't just pass in numbers like that one's stat 0, one stat 1. I want some convenient way of doing it. I have ways of doing this. And yeah, it should be in stat scale. It should definitely be in stat scale. So, public static final... Wait, have I been doing these right? Yes. Okay, good. Final int. It's going to be... Vitality is going to be 0, so vitality. Actually, I don't even call it by name. I'm going to call it by property. So, yeah, I can call vitality vitality because that's pretty much what it is. Vitality equals 0. 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. I put one too many, didn't I? Yep. Oh well. Okay, so vitality next to... Wait, no, this one is going to be speed. That's pretty much it, so... Unknown 1. Unknown 2. And I'm going to comment these out. I'm just sort of leaving that there so I know I haven't specified it yet. And strength. Is that what I have for... Whatever. I can call it strength. And this is going to be... defense. Magic. Magic defense. Why not? And I'll just... Sure. I've improvised stat names. There you go. I might as well add this... should I add it out? Whatever. It's 2 seconds. I'll add it to the document. So that's... Physical defense is going to be called physical defense. You know, whatever. It's unimportant. And you get the idea. So I'm not going to bother wasting tutorial time on that. Anyways, I have everything enumerated now. Got all the values set up. Next thing I want is some way of creating a stat scale. Generating a stat scale that doesn't actually... Well, that's a good point. I probably don't want to be able to manually set the stat scale. So, there we go. I will, however, want a way to set bonuses for double scale bonus. And this is going to, again, be 0 to 1. So, scale bonus equals new double array. And so I'm going to implement, I don't know if I said this, but I'm not really thinking of what I'm saying as much, but what I'm going to use to implement the come on, brain, you can work. The item bonus, where it's based on stat scale. You boost on based on stat scale. So there you go. Got scale bonus. Okay. Public void, not set stat scale, but generate stat scale. Now, I'm eventually going to implement my own random number generator, because anyone who's played an RPG knows random number generators are incredibly important, and I personally don't trust default random number generator to do what I want it to, so I'm going to be implementing my own random number generator at some point. As a result of this, I'm going to be adding a new game engine component. It's going to be called RPG Random. And right now, all it's going to do is it's going to be a wrapper class for the Java random number generator. But that way, when I want to go in and change the algorithm to something meaningful, which may well happen within the scope of this video, I can do that pretty easily. So, it's going to be public void... What am I saying? Public RPG random. That's going to have a private random, rand. and rand equals new random. I can type, trust me. Control-Shift-I. There we go. And I believe it's netrand.nextInt, right? Whatever. Public int nextInt nextInt public void next double, which is the one I'm going to be using. Next double. And does it take parameters? I'm curious, I've never actually tried this. It does! No, it doesn't. Oh, never mind, different error. Does it? No. Oh well. Worth a shot. It was worth a shot. I can just cap it manually. And I'm also going to create a version of these methods which have caps. Int cap and double cap. And actually, should I introduce caps? That is a question. Okay. So I'm going to do something a little bit interesting to implement caps. I'm going to divide by double dot max value, and then I'm going to multiply by the cap. This way, if the cap's something like 1, it's just going to give me a normalized value between 0 and 1. Cap's 200, it's going to give me a normalized value between that and that. That's sort of going to be my strategy for this. So, yeah. And really, I should implement next int similarly, so there we go. Times multiply by cap. I cast cap to double just for purpose of calculation, and I want to return an integer. So yeah, a little bit of an interesting way to do it, but hey, it works. And that's just a basic RPG random class. It's what I'm going to be using. So this thing's going to have private RPG random. Actually, do I want to make RPG random static? Because essentially I want everything hooked up to a single random number generator, don't I? To static or not to static? I'll go with static for now. I can always change back to instantiated later on. And really, yeah. So public static void init rand, which is going to need to do no matter what algorithm I implement. So rand equals new random, and just change all these to static. And private static random. There we go. Change all these methods to static. And yeah, everything is now static. There you go. So Stasio, don't need this anymore because RPG random is static. So now, okay, now to get a value, I'm just going to create double A for temporary purposes. RPG random dot next double cap of 1. This will give me a normalized value between 0 and 1. No. Yes. Whoops, sorry. Ah, okay. Okay, I know how I'm going to do this. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to implement this like a vector. I'm going to just generate completely random doubles and then normalize it, just like a vector. That way everything's going to be between 0 and 1, and all the squares should sum to 1. Okay, that's how I'm going to do this. So for int I equals 0, and if you don't know vector math, that might not make sense to you, but it's worth looking at, because vector math's pretty cool, in my opinion. It's less than 8. I should probably just create a constant for this. Public static final int numstats equals 8. And hopefully I can refer to everything by this, so that way, later on, I could easily change it. But for now, So values sub, I should call this scales, shouldn't I? Scales sub 1, or not 1, I. Don't want to put everything in the first one. So everything for I is going to be RPG random dot next double. And semicolon expected. Oh right. I've forgotten how to write a for loop. I'm such an amazing programmer. So there you go. There's all the scales generated. So first off, let's go set them all to random values. Now to normalize it. Now I want to make sure I'm doing this correct. Actually that's an interesting idea. What if I just said all these values by default are these squares? I don't know. I still think that implementing by normalization is probably going to be a little bit easier. So actually why not? I can just do everything based on 1. It doesn't particularly matter, but whatever. So now, okay, int sum. Probably later on I should create a vector class to do this, because vectors are pretty interesting constructs. And sum equals 0. I can probably even do this in the loop. I'm making it an int. I'm a genius. I don't want this to overflow. That's the thing. That's why I'm doing it like this. So now sum double val. That's what I'm going to set to RPG random. Yeah, in case you can't tell, I'm just completely improvising this code, so sorry if something goes horribly wrong. So that's going to equal the value. And sum will plus equal the value. There we go. That way I don't have to do 2 for loops. And I want to put a line here because I'm picky about that sort of thing. So there we go. Got scales, got sum, all lined up perfectly. Excellent. Now, what I want to do is want to go through again. I'm going to have to do it anyways, oh well. I is less than num stats, I plus plus. And I'm going to set scales. Yeah, okay. Scales come. I divided equals the sum. Because sum's going to be total value. So, I'll just put a comment here. Normalize scales. This puts them all between 0 and 1. And if I'm not mistaken, if my knowledge of vector mathematics, which is somewhat shaky, is correct, this should result in scales which are perfectly normalized. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and do some tests off camera just to confirm that I'm correct about that. And if not, I'll make adjustments. So, 1 second. Alright, so I went ahead and checked it off camera. And, as it turns out, I was right. This is going to normalize it. The only issue is I sort of implemented this algorithm wrong. I'm not quite sure why, but yeah. First off, if you know the Pythagorean theorem, it's the sum of the squares. That's sort of where I got the idea from, so all of these have to be squared when I add it to the sum. And then, at some point, I have to take sum equals math.square root of sum. And there you go. That way, I actually am able to normalize it properly. So yeah. Now this normalizes all of it. There's only one real issue left with this system. That is right here. The minimum a stat scale can be is 0.125. So here's the thing. What do I do if the stat scale minimum is below 0.125? How would I adjust this and still maintain order? Because, I mean, I could arbitrarily adjust it, but that would sort of take away from the randomness and takes away some of the distribution. And I don't want to do that. But here's the thing. I'm not counting on this method being called all that often. I'm only counting on it being called a character creation. In addition to that, it's really not that unlikely, it's really not that likely that a number below 0.125 will be generated based on the system. So because of that, I'm going to implement perhaps the simplest solution possible. which is if scale sub I is less than min stat scale. And I can create a constant for that. So public static final double min stat scale can be equal to 0.125. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two things. First off, I'm going to generate a new stat scale and hope that one works out. After that, I'm going to return. That's my strategy. It's, like I said, not the most efficient strategy in the world, but hey, you know what? It works, it's simple, and it keeps distribution, and it's probably not going to have that much an effect on a program. If it really becomes a big deal, I can go back in and change it later, but I'm not counting on that. So there we go, we've got stat scales implemented. I'm going to take this file, I'm going to sort of move it off to the side for reference, while I update my stats class. First off, get speed. Guess what? We have both a speed stat and we have a new equation for it, which is right here. Stat equals level times stat scale times 10. So, guess what I'm going to return? Return get level times stat scale times 10. Well, times... Well, I do have a stat scale in here, right? Yes. Scale dot get stat scale for stat scale dot speed. There we go. I'm gonna change this to just... yeah, just get scale. Because there's too many stat scales in this for it to be useful. It's redundant to a fault. Why do you give me an error? Possible... and cast it to a float, because Java can't deal with you losing a few decimal places of precision. It's the most horrible, horrendous act, most vile act ever committed by mankind. So yeah. Now get current health. Int max equals get max health. If health is greater than max. No, equals max. Yes, okay, that's fine. Already updated that. Get max health. Close, very close. Times 10 times scale dot get scale for stat scale dot vitality times 10. There we go. And you know what? I'm just going to copy and paste at this point. You can sort of go off to the side because I don't have as much room as I'd like. And yeah. It's pretty straightforward at this point. Really? You still have an error? Why doesn't it multiply by 10? That doesn't make sense. Okay, well, whatever. Vitality, there you go. Why do you still have an error? Possible... there. Be happy, or else. Dot strength. And it's pretty much like this all the way through. It's nothing too mind-blowing. You should be able to handle this. Yeah, there we go. So, I now have equations for magic, strength, max health. But I still have a few more scales to deal with, so let's go ahead and implement those. Public float. So that is my sort of standard working unit in this. Where is it? Okay. Get physical defense. Guess which stats is it going to be? Nope, sorry, it wasn't magical defense. I know. It's tricky like that. It's physical defense. You're close though, you're close. Yeah, I know, this is kind of redundant, but it must be done. Besides, it's easy code. It's not like we're doing something ridiculous here. Oh, sorry, I was just started. I got an idea. Just for fun, just for now, I'm going to generate a random stat scale every single time we get stats. So, yeah, scale equals new stat scale. And, whoops. Stat, not detat scale. New stat scale. And just for now, I'll put a note. Warning. Entering the land of the temporary code. Then, what I'm going to do, scale.generate stat scale. Now leaving the land of the temporary code. Which, by the way, is totally going to be a bonus area in my RPG game. This seems... I don't know, I guess... it just seems out of place to have GetLevel over there. Away from all the rest of the stats. There we go, that's much better. Just seemed a little disorganized to me. So, I've... override... Come on, Java. Alright. File has been modified? Well, I'm saving it. Okay, so that should implement basic stat scales for now. Let's see, do I have anything else to do in the stats? Oh, yes, there is, actually. There's one more thing. And that is bonuses. That's right, I need to add bonuses. So public void add scale bonus int stat double bonus. So, yeah, there we go. Here it says it's going to work. Oh wait, hey, I almost forgot. Plus scale bonus sub stat. Yes. And I'm going to multiply this by a constant. Because guess how I'm going to do this? Normalized values, that's right. I love normalized values. So this is going to be max stat boost. And, well, that's fine, because I'm about to implement it right now. Static final double. Stat boost is going to be 0. Calculator time. Now I said it's going to be the square root of 1/16, so this should be the max stat boost. Oh, really? I never knew that. Oh, right, it is the square root of 1/16. But yeah, so max equipable item bonus is 0.125. 0.25, not 0.125. So yeah, cool. Still, yeah, actually makes sense then. Fair enough. Fair enough. There you go. Got rid of the error. So now, stat boost sub stat is going to equal bonus. But what if they pass a bonus that's bigger than 1? What am I going to do? Well, if bonus is greater than 1, bonus... Yeah, I'll go ahead and add checking code. It shouldn't be an issue, but hey, why not? And if bonus is less than 0, bonus equals 0. There you go, stat boost. Why is this? Oh, scale bonus. Excuse me. So yeah, there we go. That implements all of those changes, and actually it pretty much refines our stat system. It's much, much nicer now. I wonder. I just want to run. Let's see what happens. Crash. No pointer exception. RPG random 31 because I never initialize it. That's alright. I can just go to main. Actually, probably game is probably a more reasonable place to put it. And RPG random really should be in the game anyway, so refactor. Yeah, because it's not really an engine-specific feature. It's designed specifically for the RPG, so I'm going to put it in the game. And right here, at the start, RPG random dot init_rand. Control-Shift-I. There we go. Run. Go. Go. Ooh. Oh dear. Something has gone horribly, horribly wrong. Oh dear. I know exactly what's going wrong. I'm moving based on the speed stat, aren't I? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I return to returning 4F, it's gonna work. My screen recorder doesn't like me playing this, but hey. That's fine. It's working. Okay. We're attacking. Yeah. And the enemy has a ridiculous amount of HP now. And we have no HP. So yeah, this is gonna need a tad bit of work. Actually, I should really not make movement based on speed stat, should I? The player? Why don't I just change the player? Just, 'cause, yeah. Where am I using movement? Move. Update. No. Move. Move. Where's this elusive move method that you speak of? There we go. There we go. Instead of get speed, I'm just going to return 4F. And I'm going to make a note here. To do, add speed-based scaling. That way, don't have to make any decisions right now. You can just keep doing this. So that's the first thing I noticed weird. Second thing that's weird. Oh dear. That doesn't appear like it was supposed to happen. Extends enemy. Let me guess, enemy movement's based on speed as well. Void chase? Yes. Again, I'm going to change this to 4 and say to do. Whoops. To do. Yeah, because that way, I can change that later on. Run again. Well, it's working, it's just health's a little bit off. Okay, I'm sorry I was interrupted, but I do think I found what the issue with the strange health is. In GetLevel, I am returning, well, if I plug 0 experience into this equation, I'm going to get level 0. If everything scales based on levels, and any scale times 0 is 0. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do +1. That way, it's going to change the level range from 1 to 100 rather than 0 to 99. But hey, it's the same general level range, so I'm okay with it. And now this may or may not fix my health issue. We're hit 200. And now we have an absolute ridiculous nightmare number for our health. So, let's figure out what's going on. If I go to... Actually, let's just print out a stat scale once we generate it. So, like string to string. I'm going to have a string result. Starts with nothing. And I equals 0. I is less than, what's the variable called? Scale sub I. Wait, what? No. I is less than num stats. I plus plus. Res plus equals scales sub I plus. Why not? And you're not happy? Why not? Wire double. Found Java. Oh, equals, not plus. I did that backwards. That's fine. Let's see what happens. Live debugging, the best kind of debugging. So system.out.println scale.toString. Let's see what happens. Infinity. That may explain why this isn't working. So, let's figure out what the issue is. Why not? I haven't really debugged anything live, so why not? Let's do some live debugging. Let's see if this is the issue. So, that's not the hotkey. I'm thinking of Visual Studio. Whatever. I'll just do it line by line. Let's run. Infinity, still. Why is it... Okay. In val. Will this result in anything different? Do they get infinity by default? No, I do not. Interesting. Very interesting. Maybe I'm dividing by 0. If that's the issue. Alright, let's print out the sum. Because that's clearly giving me... Well... It's clearly giving me decent values, at the very least. So, let's run. Aha, so I am dividing by 0. And I think I know why, too. It's because I have a bad random number generator, right? If I do ran.nextDouble, divide by double.maxValue... Actually, hang on. IntelliSense, come on. I'm trying to look at Java documentation. It's alright. It's cool. It's already distributed between 0 and 1. Benny is a genius. So, no need. So double, that's fine. Doesn't matter at this point. There we go. So now, if I go to my stat scale again, delete the debugging code, because I shouldn't need it at this point, but hey, you never know. Can go bring all this back. Not sure why I commented out like that, but hey, I did. What you gonna do? And run. Look at that. Beautifully generated stats. It's fabulous. Should probably scroll to the bottom so I can actually see what's hit. We lost. Oh no. That's okay, because our enemy should have basically no health as well. We're attacking. We killed the enemy. He has 2 hit points. That's cool. I wonder if I get a different one after I delete this, because that's just destroying the entire screen. Please wait. That's fine. Move off to the side and see what happens. Oh, I got 3 off this time. And so did our enemy. It appears it's working. Well, I believe that's everything I have for today. In the next video, I hope to at least implement a new random system, because, come on, I want decent random numbers, not just what Java gives me. So I'll be probably implementing my own random number generation algorithm. And I'm going to be continuing along the list of what do we implement next. Probably going to start implementing some of these functions for combat and for exploration. Give the user an interface. That's... that might be a good next thing to do. User interface. Never know. But in any case, I can delete all of this testing stuff now. And thank you. and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Take care.